what if we put a different target on our wall and said, hey, can I see these things? And then what if we were willing to ask those good friends that you talked about earlier, or our spouse, who can be brutally honest with us, hey, are you seeing more of these things in my life? And that's a question a lot of us are probably scared to ask. Welcome to the Hope in Real Life podcast with Jason Gore. Our team is passionate and committed to bringing you more hope in the everyday, real areas of your life. If this conversation and content is valuable for you, please do us a favor. Like, subscribe, and even share. You never know how valuable it could be to share a little bit of hope with someone else. Let's get the conversation started. Well, hello, Hope in Real Life family. Welcome back to another episode of the Hope in Real Life podcast. I'm here with my good friend, Aaron Nelson.
Hello, hello.
Aaron, welcome to the show.
Glad to be here.
We are wrapping up season 3 with this episode with how we've ended seasons 1 and 2 as well with you asked and we answered. And so we've got Aaron in here to kind of help lead and steer that conversation and to do a lot of the questions. But first, Aaron, why don't you just tell the good people of Hope in Real Life a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. I don't know anything that's, all that fascinating, but enjoy being in this space, enjoy kind of the whole podcasting thing. My wife and I, we've been married for going on 4 years now. We have our first kid on the way, which we're super excited about. In our free time, we enjoy having conversations like this as well. Man, it's I'm just along for the ride,
First kid on the way. Have you gone public yet with boy, girl, or is that still being held?
So it's funny you say that. Yeah. So we
because no one will know if you just tell me right now. It's just me and you. It's just a conversation.
Well, we'll edit it out in post, right? So we're good. Yeah. No, we're having a girl. So,
okay. Right on.
Yeah. Gonna be a girl dad and excited.
Did know that, so I'll try and act surprised. But
what? Congratulations!
Thank you,
man. We're excited.
So what do we do now? We got some questions.
That's
somehow?
it.
Did you make up all the questions yourself?
I'm taking the role of you today. Yeah, okay. You asked, and so hello, my name is you. And now Jason, you're about to answer.
All right, let's see what we got.
Let's go
see
through
how many of these I can dodge.
Yeah, there's a good little healthy mix here. I think some of them are just fun, kind of get to know you sort of stuff. Yep. And then the further we go, we'll get to the more hard-hitting stuff and see where you are in some staunch issues. Maybe I don't know. We'll see. We might get weird. I had coffee and it just
I can pass if I want to pass.
No, you can't. All right. Here we go. Number 1. What is the most adventurous thing that you've ever done?
The most I've done a lot of adventurous things.
Are you an adventurous person by nature?
I am. Yes. By nature, I am. I think I'm just like any other guy that's teetering on the edge of getting old. Right, like I'm at 45. I'm just learning. The gas in the tank's not the same that it used to be. And we got 3 kids, man. We're always on the go, and so it's like
I just imagine adventurous is changing. Before it was like we're gonna go skydiving. Now it's like, am I gonna go get something from the fridge right now?
That's right. I don't know. I'm thinking about going to Walmart. It's after 10 o'clock. Sounds pretty dangerous. The most adventurous thing. Let's see. A couple of them, and they've been on a different continent. I think 2 things I would highlight that I've done some fun stuff, man. I mean, I've jumped off some cliffs I had no business jumping off of into water. Okay, so just to be clear, but so one time, myself and a mutual friend of ours, Corey Paxton. This was probably 20 years ago, something like that. We went to Kenya, to this suburb outside of Kenya called Kayole, working with a friend of ours who had started an orphanage for kids that had lost both of their parents to HIV/AIDS. And so we were there, and then we got part of what we were going to do on that trip, and we were there for like 2 weeks, was to fly over we were going to take medical supplies. Basically, this is how it worked. All right. So the guy says, listen, since you guys are coming, I need some extra bodies, because there's this group of people that we do work with over the mountain range in northern Kenya, and it's hard to get folks to go with me and then carry the supplies, because we literally land in the middle of a desert, and then we got to carry them like a mile and a half to get them to where the people are. I'm like, well, that sounds fun.
That's not what was in the brochure.
No, that's right. Over here. I assure you, this trip, there's no brochure about anything that we did on this trip. And so we show up and we get on, we go to the, what they call these things where airplanes are, airports. That's what they call them, right? And so we go to the airport and we walk by this plane that I think, and I'm like, aren't we going to get on the plane? It's like, no, the plane that we're going to get on is down here. And I look and it's like 20 yards, and it's like, I'm like, that's an airplane? Like, it looks like a go-kart with some propellers on it. That's what, and I'm like, how are we going to fit all this stuff? And so we get there, and, some other people are helping load the stuff in. And it is, man, it's like a single engine plane.
Yeah.
There's 3 of us, and then these medical supplies. I'm pretty sure it was single engine. There might be a fact checker on here that's like, no single engine plane can fit. A really small airplane.
Yeah.
Okay. And so we get on this thing, and we're flying out, and we're flying towards this mountain range, and we're getting closer and closer and closer to this mountain range. And this airplane, I mean, it's like up and down and moving around. And I mean, I could kick the pilot from where I was sitting if I wanted to. And I asked the pilot, I said, hey, we're getting closer to those mountains, but it doesn't seem like we're going any higher. Or don't we need to go?
Something has to move.
Don't
here.
we need to go up? And he literally said, this plane is not really meant to go that high.
Gosh.
And I said, what are we going to do? He said, no, we go through the mountains.
Oh,
and so we
gosh.
literally take this plane through this
terrifying.
mountain range. So that was adventurous that I didn't know what I was signing up for.
Oh, man.
Another one involved an airplane in Africa, and I'm not kidding, on another trip, and we went to Uganda. We were with some friends in Uganda, different group, still working with orphans, and we were flying over the Nile River, and I'm not kidding. I was sitting right next to the pilot, and the pilot asked me if I wanted to fly, or if I had ever flown before.
Dude.
I said, yeah. My uncle used to have his pilot's license when I was a kid, and he would take me up, and he'd hand me the stick and let me fly. I was like, so I've done it before. He's like, do you want to give it a shot? And I'm in the plane, and like this was a little bit bigger plane, like a 2-engine type deal. And all the people in the back are like, no, he doesn't. He does not want to. And I was like, well, I absolutely do. So I'm not kidding. I've flown an airplane over in parallel to the Nile River with like wildebeest, like animals running along below, and like very exhilarating. And
Plenty
then some
of
other
collateral below in case
potential.
you went.
My wife was on the plane. Dave and Cindy Lanuti, who you know.
Oh my gosh.
They were on the plane. Ask them about it. They would tell you. But yeah, so those are probably 2 of the more adventurous things.
I've been in that exact scenario, except I was one of the passengers of the plane, and I remember how terrified I was. In this case, what the guy did was he looks at the guy in the passenger seat, and the guy in the passenger seat, he's the one that initiates this, and he goes, will you let me fly the plane? And the guy told him, he says, if you can tell me why that light's flashing, I'll let you fly the plane. I don't know what light it was. I don't know what significance it had, but genuinely he told him, hey, this is what it does. He's like, all right, you got it. And so he let him fly the plane for a few minutes later. We asked him about it when we got on the ground, and he's like, dude, it's just like Flight Simulator, like the PlayStation game. That's how he had learned. And the guy we talked to the pilot after the fact, and he goes, no, if you played Flight Simulator, you got it. Like, that's pretty much it.
Here's what's crazy, though. So we talked about the instruments, and like you can see on there, he's like, over there is where turbulence is, and you can see, and you look over and you see the thunder clouds and stuff like that. And it was literally like you could steer the plane over towards it, and you start getting a little bit closer to the clouds, and you see the turbulent stuff on the and like you get closer, and the wings start shaking, the plane starts shaking, you get a little bit closer, and then people, of course, are yelling in the back, what are you doing? Get the heck away. So anyways, most adventurous
is what they're
those
doing.
are the top 2. I also shot a BB gun at my dad one time growing up. That almost cost me my life.
That was
as
high
well.
risk.
Yeah, that's right.
High risk, low reward, I'm sure. Kind of in that same vein, you're an international traveler, so I'm assuming this might be, I don't know, maybe not. This could be something stateside, but what's the weirdest food you've ever tried, and did you like it?
The weirdest food I've ever tried, I didn't like it. I was in Kyrgyzstan. Weirdest food I've ever had. They have something there called mare's milk. Mare's milk is the milk from a horse that they allow to ferment.
Okay.
And it's a delicacy there. My stomach did not think it was a delicacy.
Yeah, that sounds...
they serve it at like room temperature.
Oh.
Horse milk fermented.
Okay.
Not great. And then the other weirdest thing, I think it was on that same trip. They brought out a lamb's head, and it was cooked, I'm assuming like steamed, because they told us it was cooked, but it looked still like a lamb's head.
Yeah.
And they began to cut the skin off the face of the lamb, and people started eating it. I mean, I chewed on it for a good minute, and I found a way to get it in my napkin.
All right. Well,
So two weirdest
man.
things, and
Was
I've
it
never.
one of those like I don't want to offend anybody situations?
Yeah. That's what it
okay.
is, right? You know, you're in a different culture, so
Yeah.
you don't want to offend them. But man, that was so. If that's your delicacy and you love it, I apologize. I don't eat a lot of hot dogs, but I'd eat a hot dog over that just about any time.
I feel like we've learned too much already. But
What else you got?
Another question we have is what's a fun fact about you that most people don't know?
Man, there's fun fact people about me don't know. I don't know. I mean, I love jiu-jitsu. That's a thing.
Okay.
We've probably talked about that on here before. I enjoy that. I love to fish. That's, I guess, moderately fun when you're catching stuff. And man, that's it. And then the other, I guess, you know, some people, you know, I talk in front of people sometimes and have podcasts. I think some people naturally assume that I'm like extroverted all the time. That is not the case, man. I hit a wall and I want to be either with my people or just sitting at home or at the gym by myself. I love going to the gym. I do not go to the gym to talk to people.
Yeah, no, that's real.
Yeah, I put earbuds in even if nothing's going on in my earbuds, just so I can't hear you.
Yeah, no, that's great.
I don't know if any of those are fun facts, but they are
it's
facts.
good to know.
Yeah.
That could be useful information in case anybody ever runs into you in the gym.
Yeah.
He's like, he left his headphones at home today. And he's still like, what? I don't
He
know.
wants to talk.
Yeah, it's like, I got it. Okay. No, it's pretty good. Those headphones.
Yeah.
You got them in your ear. You're at the gym. You know, I'm gonna put a little bit of a spin on this one.
Okay.
The question is what if you could only listen to one song for the rest of your life, what would it be? But I'm curious to know what's on Jason's gym playlist?
My gym playlist.
Are you okay? Can you listen to podcasts when you work out?
I do, but I know I don't take everything. I know
Yeah.
I don't retain everything, but I do. I listen to podcasts sometimes.
Okay.
There is a difference though in like listening to music versus listening to a podcast, like just with the intensity that you kind of take to the workout. So if I'm feeling it and I'm feeling good and I don't need any extra gas in the tank, then yeah, I'll listen to a podcast. I do try to make sure, this is the nerdy side of me, I really do try to make sure I'm taking in at least 2 hours of outside content a week that maybe has nothing to do with anything that I'm preparing for, planning for, just try to grow, right?
Oh,
and so if I'm backlogged on that, then I'll, halfway listen to it while I'm working out.
Can you work out with nothing?
Yeah.
Like with silence?
Yeah,
Okay.
I can. Yeah, absolutely.
I know it's a struggle for some people.
Yeah,
so.
no, and there's times, this is going to sound kind of nerdish, but there's times where I like tell myself, you need to do this. It's easier with music, but it might be harder without. But you know what? You can do hard things, and it's a weird thing. But
that's good,
we had, when I was, you didn't ask about this, but I'll tell you, when I was.
You didn't ask, but I answered.
That's a new episode. You didn't ask, but I'm here to tell you.
For like an hour.
I think that's like the normal news cycle, isn't it? That's just the news. These are all things nobody really wants to hear about. We're going to tell you. The world's going to end. We're being taken over by killer bees. What was the question? No, there wasn't one.
That was the point.
What are we doing? Someone asked, I heard this guy. And so I know all of our listeners aren't necessarily, I think all of our listeners probably are on a faith journey whether they realize it or not. But they might not be listening to this for that. But I was in college and wrestled at NC State, go Pack, and heck of a wrestling team over there. And, a lot of people, just like any other sport, you listen to headphones while you warm up, right? So I don't think we had Beats back then, and we certainly didn't have iPhones. I think we had like the little mini disc players back then was the thing that were popular for like.
Skips on every rep.
Yeah, they were popular for like 9 months. Yeah. But this guy, we had this sports performance guy come in, and he was a Christian, and he said, "Listen, you got to figure out, you got to be able to answer this question: what are you going to do when the music stops? Because you can warm up and get as hyped as you want to with headphones in, but the reality is, when you're up and it's your weight class, you take off your warm up top, you take off your headphones, and it's deathly quiet, in your head, right? The crowd's cheering and whatever, but in your head, man, there's no music going. And so what is it that like gets you going? And so what he taught us was, if you're a believer, like, you need to be able to see your athletic performance as a worship performance. Like, you've got to get in your mind that you're going to use the talents and abilities that God's given to you and that you've worked hard for, to go back and then worship God through using those.
Yeah.
So that was his spin on it. So I've just kind of carried that with me at times. Like, hey, I can do this just because I can.
Yeah.
It's not always my personal preference.
No, that's good.
But I feel like 27 minutes ago, you actually did have a real question around this.
What was the?
What's
if
in
you could
my
only listen to
headphones?
one song for the rest of your life, what would it be? Yeah.
Okay, so in my playlist, I will say this: if I'm at the gym and I really need something, man, that old school Rocky IV soundtrack is hard to beat. All right, so that's going to be in there. But I sometimes I'll just throw on. So it just depends on what mood I'm in, man. I would go to Apple Music and just search country music station if I'm into that, or I'll search rock and roll station, or I'll search workout hip hop. It's just whatever mood I'm in. So I don't really have a go-to all the time.
Yeah.
I see this question here now that I'm looking down at the paper. If there's one song that you could listen to for the rest of your life, what would it be? So music for me is, I enjoy music, but it also, like, my dad was a big-time musician. And then I have these memories of my stepdad and my mom and the music that we listened to. And so for me, music, it has a lot to do with nostalgia. So when you say one song for the rest of your life, there's a couple songs that just have a lot of memories in them. And, like, our listeners probably have no idea what those are. But I will say this. No, that's cool. There's a song by a guy named Michael Martin Murphey called Carolina in the Pines. Okay. And my dad he would play that song when I was young, and we'd sing it together. And so that's a song that I go to if I just want to be in an upbeat, good, fun, happy mood. Cool, man. And then my mom and stepdad, for whatever reason, I just have these memories of them loving Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton. And they sang a duet together, Islands in the Streams. And that's my
wife's go-to karaoke song.
Is it really?
It really is, yeah.
We should,
and I make her do both parts too.
I was gonna say we should go do karaoke and I'll sing the guy's part, but there's some lyrics in that. I don't want to sing that song with your wife. You and Aaron are islands in the stream. That's what you are. I'm not there with you.
What's your go-to karaoke song? Do you have one?
Oh, I don't know.
You don't have one?
No,
okay.
I don't. But I will tell you that I will lay down some Otis Redding if I have to.
Okay, yeah. Right on.
Hope and Real Life family, I want to pause for a moment and let you know about an opportunity that I believe can help you find a bit more hope in everyday life. Listen, I know a lot of our viewers probably aren't a part of a church, or maybe you gave up on the church a long time ago. And believe me, possibly for good reason. I understand. But I don't want you to miss out on the hope that you can actually experience by journeying alongside of a group of people that really are seeking God's best for their lives. If you are the least bit curious, we try to make this as simple for you as we possibly can. Wherever it is that you digest digital content, podcasts, you can go to the podcast store. You can check it out on YouTube and just search Hope Community Church. You'll be able to find our messages there and check those out. Or if you actually want to tune in during a service time, you can go to gethope.tv at 4:15 or 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or you can tune in at 9:30 or 11:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, that's at gethope.tv. We hope that you'll take a chance with us and experience what it is God has for you in your life. You're going to find practical messages that will help you find hope in the everyday moments of your life. Hope you'll check it out.
Do you have a hobby or an activity that you've always wanted to try but just haven't gotten around to, either it hasn't been made available to you or you just haven't had the opportunity?
A hobby that I haven't.
It doesn't have to be a hobby, maybe a one-time experience or something that, you say, if I ever had the chance to do this.
When I was younger, I would have told you it was skydiving. Mm-hmm. Now let's call back to that 45 years old and I got 3 kids. And
have you ever been? Never been skydiving?
I never have, but here's the thing. I don't know that I want to anymore. Why would you jump out of an airplane that, I'm sure statistically speaking, most of the time parachutes open up. But man, it's not 100%.
It's not.
So, you know what? If I could do something, if I had the time and I could do it every week, oh man, I don't want anybody this is not a political statement, okay? In any way, shape, or form, listeners, I'm sorry. I just, growing up, I enjoyed shooting guns. We grew up on a farm. So, I mean, I think like going to a gun range and having time to, there's just something that's, kind of stress relieving about that. And so if I had time, if I had a couple hours every Friday, every Saturday, I'd probably get back in there. Yeah.
Nice. Cool. Somebody does every Sunday in my neighborhood. Every Sunday I will say this.
I told you I enjoy training jiu-jitsu. When I had to stop when my third kid, when Connor got like 2 years old and really started to get more mobile. We had 3 kids on the go. I pulled back from jiu-jitsu, and then they got into wrestling. And so now most of my mat time goes into wrestling. But I think when my kids get older and get out of the house, like I'll probably end up back in the jiu-jitsu world a little bit.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. That's awesome. All right, we're going to go ahead and turn the corner a little bit here. You've talked about your kids. You've talked about just kind of these other relationships that you have and all this sort of thing. Singing karaoke with my wife. Sounds weird out of context.
That's different.
You had to go back a few minutes and hear the whole thought.
Could you imagine if they just took that one little clip and made that the same?
That's what happens when you let AI pick your social media clips.
Oh, man. Did you guys hear that, Jason?
Healthy relationships. I know that's a big deal to you. I know that's something that's really important to you, something that you invest in pretty intentionally.
Yeah.
What do you think are key components of a healthy relationship? And I guess we can leave it kind of broad. Just between you and the way that you interact with others around you, what are some key components that you always want to?
Yeah. So, I mean, a relationship is something that it's usually changing. And it's usually going in one direction or another. But you don't meet somebody and then all of a sudden just have an incredibly healthy relationship. You might have a positive impression of that person and they might have a positive impression of you, but I wouldn't necessarily call it a healthy relationship. I think the primary key to a really healthy relationship is knowing one another well and allowing one another to be who that person is, outside of sin or doing something stupid. Like you and I know me really, me pretty well. If you thought I was going to go rob a bank, you shouldn't let me go rob a bank, right? You should say, hey, don't do it. But, or you can drive the car. Either one, you see. But so I think one, you got to know each other and you got to give one another space to be who you are. You've got to be able to set appropriate boundaries. You've got to know how to interact with somebody, when to push, when not to push, when to let them be who they are. Yeah. And so I think just flat out knowing somebody. And the truth is, in today's world, I just don't know that we really know each other all that well anymore. You know, I mean, those people that are close and spend time together and intentional do it, but it's so easy just to connect over text message or over social media. And I don't necessarily want to beat that drum, but I think really genuinely knowing someone and then going out of your way to honor someone by allowing them to be themselves, in that relationship and doing what you can do to help them feel comfortable, being themselves. So I think that's important. I think another key to healthy relationships is having people around you in your life that understand what's important to you, and they're going to continue to encourage you to live out the things that are important to you, and then vice versa, even if they're not in the same direction. Now, some real magic happens when some folks really do care about each other. They know about it, what's important to each other, and they all want to run in the same direction. Yeah. So
no, that's good. I like that. I'm not one of those people who, when people say, hey, we should go get a coffee and get to know each other, that sends me running. Yeah. I'm kind of like you the same way. Yeah. I can tend to be pretty introverted, right? So I don't want to I'm not a big fan of small talk of so what are you, yada, yada, the questions you're supposed to ask. And then, so you mentioned you're a bit introverted. You have a relationship with someone that you know, and oftentimes there are kind of these friendships, relationships that we have.
Is this a question that one person wrote in?
This is asking for a friend right here. That's what this segment is. And you say this is a question that someone wrote in, but I'm kind of contextualizing it a little bit based on what we've been talking about here. But there's a relationship that you have that you want to invest in. Okay, let's say it's friend, spouse, coworker, whatever, right? Just somebody hey, I want to get to know them a little bit better, whatever. What do you do, and you can speak to this personally, to build and maintain strong relationships? Because I think I'm a drifter naturally by tendency, right? it's very easy for me to be out of sight, out of mind with people. And I've actually been told specifically, like, man, I wish you would invest a little bit more in this relationship. What does that look like for you, in letting people know they're seen, they're cared about? I want to invest in this relationship.
Yeah. So 2 things I would say. One, there is something, and again, I agree with you, like the small talk, if it's not flowing and it feeling forced, that can be like death, man.
I heard something the other day that it takes, on average, about 7 minutes if you're talking to a stranger to like break that seal of like, oh, I'm comfortable talking to you now. Yeah. Like, that's 7 minutes is a long time.
Yes. So there are I think there's some secrets that kind of help pass the time. So it's like, if you can spend time with somebody while you're doing something else, that's why the sitting and having a cup of coffee is kind of intimidating and doesn't feel good, because it's like, there's really only one thing you can do. You can take a sip of coffee.
Man, this coffee's good.
It's like, man, look, I know I don't really have anything to say right now, so I'm just going to.
It's not as warm as it was the last time I checked the temperature.
My cup's empty. I'm going to get a refill. Don't need it, but I'm going to go get one. So, so actually doing something productive, and I would even say, like, doing something that's valuable and productive to society. I mean, like serving alongside of someone doing something mission focused. You want to get to know somebody, I don't really care what they tell you. Can you watch them serve other people? Can you watch them do something that doesn't just add value to their own life, but to somebody else? You can really see, kind of where they stand. So I think that's one thing. Another thing is, if you want to get to know someone, and this isn't all that different than a cup of coffee, but there's more to it. But there's something to the art of just having someone over to your place and preparing a meal for them, and then sharing that meal. When you're eating, like, there's obviously more things going on, and then just something happens. Like we eat food multiple times a day. Most people do. Some of us eat too much food multiple times a day, but there's just walls just kind of break down when you're doing something that's comfortable. Again, going to a coffee shop, specific place, it's not your house, it's not your comfort zone, but inviting someone into your space where you're comfortable, to where you can just focus on serving them. So I think those are a couple of things I would say. Sharing a meal, or actually doing something productive with someone. And the other thing is, obviously, if you have a mutual hobby, that's a way to get to know someone. But I don't think anything's going to trump actually doing something for somebody else together. You really get to see somebody.
That's good. I like that. Obviously, you care a lot about kind of the digital space. And, I mean, this seems to be just the trend in the way that the world is headed in, right? We only get more and more, I mean, especially as we see, AI technology and stuff like that getting involved. Technology is playing a bigger role in our lives, a bigger role in our lives day by day. How do you see that impacting the way that the church reaches people? In which way do you see the Big C Church playing a role in impacting the digital world and spaces for, I mean, anyone who takes up the space on this big rock, man? What impact do you see it making? Yeah,
so I want to clarify something, because you said, obviously, you're a big fan of the digital spaces or something like that. Somebody can replay the tape if they really want to know. But the truth is, it's not like I wake up and I'm like, oh, I love the digital space. I love online community, or I love digital engagement. I think what it is, especially as it relates to the church world and this podcast, even in particular, I want to see people have more hope. All right. And at the end of the day, like, listeners, listen, we're going to keep talking about different areas in your life where you are looking to find more hope, period. We're going to do that. At the end of the day, I believe that hope is ultimately found in Jesus Christ. Yeah. And so when you start talking about the church, it's like, why would I get involved or be excited about digital spaces? It's just because that's where people are. And so if you want to create environments for people, if you want to create a pathway for people to find more hope, and people are engaging in things digitally more than they are in person, just en masse, well then, man, we got to figure out a way to get in that space. Yeah. And so I do believe, and again, depending on what you believe, I don't believe the church is just a building that you go to or an event that you do for 1 hour a week on a Sunday morning. I believe the church is a group of people that carry with it the hope that we have in Jesus. And so if you really want to get down, if that's your definition of the church, then I think the church will have its maximum impact in today's world. And who knows, like, we could the internet could potentially disappear. I mean, I highly doubt it, but something could happen. But in today's world, I think the churches that want to see a maximum impact, they're going to find a way to get in the places and spaces where people are. And so they're going to find a way to get content, to get opportunities for people to connect and build community in an online space where people are. And so that's what this Hope in Real Life thing is all about, man. Is how do we get there? And I think other churches, and look, not every church has the resources to do that. And I'm not saying that if there's a church out there that's not engaged in a digital space, that they actually don't have a presence, that they're not living out God's kingdom. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying the church is called to be on mission, and there's a huge mission field out there that the church would serve itself well to find a way to engage.
No, that's good. That's good. I opened up social media the other day and saw a post that I wasn't a fan of, that I didn't agree with. And it just kind of sent me down this rabbit hole of thinking technology is amoral. It's neither good nor bad,
That's
right?
Exactly
it's
right.
a matter of how we populate it and what we choose to put on. So if your timeline is garbage,
Right. That's right.
I mean, you put it there. You know what I mean?
Your algorithm that you chose.
You know what I mean? So it's just funny, man. I don't know a single person who wouldn't agree with a statement that technology is or can be toxic. But it's like, yeah, but whose hand did we put it in?
That's right.
So I love that you're using this platform as a way of saying, hey, if we have an opportunity to populate this space, let's populate it with something that's hopeful for people. That's good.
Let me ask you though, because you have a podcast. So what was the driving force behind you starting True Discipleship?
Yeah. So for us, it was my wife and I were just having faith conversations around the table, and I remember just kind of having this feeling of, I wish we could bottle this up. Yeah. Like, I wish we could hold on to the things that we're learning through this time. And I was just thinking about, like, we're having conversations about things that I'm like, man, I wish I would have realized this sooner. Or I wonder what other people's perspectives would be into this. Yeah. So how do we take a conversation that we're having around a table and invite other people into that? And so really that's what it was. It was just kind of blurring that line a little bit so we could have some community and people to talk to. But also, man, it's just selfishly speaking, like, it's super cool for me once a week to be able to sit down in our office at home, just me and my wife, and talk about things that actually matter. Yeah. And so it's kind of created this space for us to be open and vulnerable with each other. In a way that happens in weeks when it's normally too busy to sit around the dining room table, you know?
Yeah.
It's been good.
One of the reasons why I love the podcast space is because, this sounds crazy, but just sitting down and having a conversation with somebody that you do have a relationship with, and there is a specific topic. It's not necessarily just small talk. Yeah. There's just something life-giving to that feels right. That you can learn something from somebody else, that you can maybe be challenged on a perspective or be encouraged in a perspective.
Yeah, it's good. It's good, man.
Hope in Real Life family, we just want to take a moment and let you know about a resource that is available to you. I know a lot of our listeners aren't necessarily active in a church, might not even be a Christian. We are still thankful that you're spending time with us. However, we do get asked regularly, how can we find out more about your church or even just about this Jesus guy? And so if that is you, I want you to know you can tune in to gethope.tv. We have live services on Saturday, 4:15 p.m. and 6 p.m., or on Sunday at 9:30 a.m. or 11:15 a.m. Those are Eastern Standard Times. If you can't tune in during those times, we will drop our YouTube link as well as our podcast link down in the show notes. We would love to have you join in with us. Let's keep sharing some hope.
What role does the church have in politics, Jason? That's a question we got. It
looks like that's all the time we have for this episode. What role does church have in politics? All right, so the root word, polis, I think we've talked about this. Maybe I think we did an episode with Leonce where we talked about the church and politics. That's the root word, right? And so really what that's talking about, the word politics, is really just talking about how do we live in society. Well, I think the church has a huge role in how we live in society. Now, that's not what you really meant when you said, what's the church's role in politics? Right. What we're talking about, what most people mean is, hey, we have at large, by and large, two parties, a Republican Party and a Democratic Party. And most people mean So which side is the church supposed to pick?
Yeah, no, that's really,
and that's, man, the reality is, I would say, if you're trying to make that decision, you've framed up your question the wrong way, because neither one of those is going to send you down the appropriate path of how the church should actually live in society.
That's good.
At the end of the day, if you believe the best, what you would say is both of those political parties, or any political party for that matter, have the best interests of the people in mind. It's just they have dramatically different paths of how they want to get there.
Yeah.
I would say that none of them are bring the abundant life that the way of Christ gets us there.
Yeah.
So how does the church, what role does the church have in politics? There is a level, Jesus is asked in the Bible, like, what do you think about paying taxes? And he said, hey, give to Caesar what is Caesar's. That's kind of his way of saying, like, if you live in a society that has a certain set of rules, and then, hey, yield to those set of rules. Yeah. Obviously short of sin, that starts to become into a different question. But, that's not your personal preference. You're inside of, but I think outside of that, I think the church's role in politics is to actually live out in society the ways of Jesus. Now, Jesus didn't necessarily force his way on other people either. I mean, Jesus actually was quite different in that. He would challenge people on things. He would ask people questions. He would tell people stories that led them at large towards what he was saying truth was. But ultimately, he allowed other people to make their decision. But I think his example and what people saw in and through him is what it was that drew people to follow after him. Yeah. So I think the church is, the way that we live in society is to live out the ways of Jesus in a world that's a lot of times that's swimming upstream, in hopes that, one, that we would bring glory to God because that's how we're called to live our life, but that other people would see this and be like, wait, some of the ways that you're living your life seems a little bit upside down and a little bit crazy, but I'm intrigued because it seems to be working for you, and you are more joyful than anyone else that I've ever met. You seem to have more hope than anybody else that I've ever met. So I think that's a rule. I don't think that you can legislate morality or a perfect society, though.
Yeah.
So
no, that's good. That's good. Yeah. If government was crushing it, Jesus wouldn't have had to come to
that's right.
establish another kingdom, right? That's really cool. I think you kind of answered our next question here. I like how you kind of polarize both sides of that political coin of what does politics actually mean versus how do we exercise it. But the next question was, what role does the church have in culture? Yeah. With it being posed that way, do you have anything else to add, or?
I would say we have to be careful as the church to not be molded by the culture. We live in a world where there's like it's so easy to get canceled right now, and to get, people yelling at you for your beliefs. And so we have to be careful, I think, as the church, to not just run away and hide in places that people don't actually see a group of people living out what we're called to believe. And so I believe the church in its most healthy form is actually living a Christian life in public, in society, in culture, for people to see, not in a dogmatic way, certainly not in a judgmental way, but living it out and standing strong on what they believe truth is, but doing so in a loving way, and not throwing shade or judgment at other people. And so I think, man, if more people just got that we're supposed to love and serve our neighbors regardless of what their beliefs are, the church would probably be painted in a little bit more positive light, as opposed to doing it the wrong way and yelling and screaming at people, or the other wrong way, which is just, I'm going to go hide in my house and, not show up.
Yeah, no, that's good.
But seriously, do you vote Republican or Democrat? He's going to pass.
Yeah, we'll pass on that one. You've dropped hope a lot. Yeah. You mentioned that word, that idea about how important it is for people to have hope. From a Christian perspective, from your worldview, what is a Christian's hope? Is it, I'm going to pose kind of a couple of caricatures out here. Is it simply that we go to heaven when we die? Like that, is that the only thing that we really hang our hat on? And then where do you think that plays in with the idea of finding purpose? I think hope plays a role in that as well, right?
Yeah. I think that there is hope in heaven when we die. But it's not hope in that we get to go to a destination, right? Heaven is a place where there's white fluffy clouds and a pudgy baby with wings playing a harp is actually not all that enticing to me. The good news is I don't really think you see that picture in the Bible either.
Yeah.
So, but heaven being a place that you see in Scripture described as basically that everything that we experience is broken right now in this world is actually put back together again. The Bible tells us that every tear that's been shed will be wiped away. That a world like that's put back together again, like there is hope in that. That even on the, I mean, I was preaching this past weekend and said that, man, if you have hope in Christ, I mean, he went to a death on a cross, but 3 days later rose from the grave and overcame sin and death so that we could experience new life. So like even on the other side of death is resurrection and new life. So I do think there's hope in that. But man, there's got to be more to it than that, and I think there is. I think it's the hope of knowing, no, we can actually experience peace and an abundant life even in this broken world if we actually live into the forgiveness and the grace that Jesus has shown to us, and actually live out the Jesus way in the world around us. And so, I think yes, there is hope when we die, but I think there's so much more to it that we come to experience if we actually live into it and live it out while we're here before we die.
That's good. I like that. The opposite of hope, I would say, is despair.
Okay.
And despair is a characteristic of anxiety, an issue that we see prevalent in our society, especially among young people. How do you think families, and you can talk about this from a church perspective if you want, but how do you think families should address the current kind of zeitgeist of anxiety that seems to be running rampant? I mean, I know
Hey,
for
Siri,
me,
what is Zengeist mean?
I don't know. I don't even know if I said it right. I was hoping you wouldn't bring too much attention to it, but that brought some anxiety up in me. No, I just because it is so prevalent. I mean, there's people in my life who I know that struggle with anxiety, and it's really, I mean, I think we've all been in the situation where someone's freaking out about something. You say, calm down. It doesn't work.
No, it's bad. I
Right?
learned that in like year one of marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think is I'm not going to say the right, but maybe a patient approach to those who are struggling with anxiety? How can we as a culture and a society deal with this as a communal issue and not just somebody else's problem?
Yeah. So, man, I've got some answers. That could be a whole nother podcast.
for sure.
There's so much to it because while I do believe that anxiety and the state of our mental health is unhealthy or more unhealthy than it's ever been. I also think that we live in this echo chamber that we're being told that it's such a big issue and all these things that are going wrong in the world. It's just, and so we had John Deloney on the show earlier in the year, and he actually made a point. It actually makes it easier to actually believe that we're in those states. And look, I'm not saying that, it's just in your mind. What I am saying is sometimes what we need to do is just turn down the noise. I mean, we've got so much stuff. We're connected. People are coming at us left and right. You turn on the news, everything's negative. You get on social media, people are bickering and fighting. We're about to go into an election season. I'm telling you, the anxiety and all that stuff that you're hearing right now, when we get into election season, I guarantee you it's going to jump. Yeah. And it's because it's going to be, look, more people are fighting, and now I got to pick a side. And so I pick a side, but now these people are mad at me. And so I think number one, we got to turn down the noise. Number two, we do need to do some business, I think, as a culture with what are we believing as truth? I mean, what are we giving ourselves to? Because the reality is, if we were created, or if there is some set of this is your best life, or this is how you were created to experience life, and you go about it a different way, it would just make sense for your body to not respond in a healthy way. Yeah. And anxiety itself is not a sickness, right? It's an alarm to let you know that something else is wrong. Anytime you talk to someone and say, well, I've got this anxiety, and often what you hear is, I've got this anxiety and I don't even know what it's coming from. No, it's telling you, what it's telling you is you need to stop and take a deep breath and figure out which direction you're heading in that's the wrong direction.
Mm-hmm.
Something's going on. And so I think a lot of us, man, we just got to stop and do business with the fact that we could be engaged. We could be pushing ourselves too hard. We could be in a relationship that we don't need to be in. We could be saying no to something that we need to be saying yes to. We could be saying yes to something that we need to be saying no to. And all that stuff stacks. And I think when you put all that together with all the noise, I think it tells on us. And so, one, I'd say turn down the noise. Two, I think we got to do some business with, what are we actually giving ourselves to in our lives, and is it the most healthy thing?
It's good. The world's busy. All sorts of things going on around us. A lot of those things can be, anxiety inducing. When we talk about spiritual growth, when we talk about doing things that contribute to who we are on a spiritual level, how can someone deepen their spiritual practice in a busy world?
Why don't you answer this? You're a big John Mark
Oh,
Comer
man.
fan. I think that'd be,
I left my collection in the office.
Yeah,
I can't go.
I
No,
mean,
yeah.
Honestly, I
Yeah.
say this in full sincerity. I think that I would consider you as a subject matter expert on this as much as anybody. Realize when we do these episodes and it's like, hey, you asked, we answered. The only thing I'm answering at large based on the stuff that I've heard from some of our guests or something that I heard from that 2 hours to learn. And it's not because I'm a subject matter expert. Yeah. But man, we have to, again, we got to turn down the noise. If you can't say, this is how I experience silence and solitude in my life. I'm just telling you, from the moment my kids get up, but I would say from the moment I leave the house until I lay down my head at night, it's just hectic. It's just noisy. And so part of my routine is getting up early in the morning and having a cup of coffee. And that's like, nobody else can get to me.
Yeah.
And so I think we've got to figure out what is a rhythm where we're actually just sitting with ourselves and doing business with what's going on in our lives. Where do we need to put our attention? What's grabbing for our attention? What are we wrestling with? And so it's only when we actually take the time to do that we can figure out, okay, so what is it that I need to address? Yeah. And, truthfully, because you said spiritually, right? And so like it's in our silence and in our solitude that we actually have an opportunity to hear from God.
Yeah.
So what about you though? What would you say?
I'm actually going to quote my wife on this one. She says something that I love.
Man, do you remember that time her and I sang karaoke?
No, she says something that I absolutely love, man. I remember she told me, I think we were still dating at the time, and I don't remember what it was. I was like, man, I wish I had more time for this or whatever. And she's like, I've taught myself to stop saying I don't have time for something, and instead I've started saying this isn't a priority for me. That'll get you in order real quick.
Yeah. So
when you start thinking through, I think the heart of this question, how can someone deepen their spiritual practice in a busy world? It's like, man, how am I supposed to read my Bible when I just don't have time? Yeah. How am I supposed to fill in the blank with any spiritual practice? Right. How am I supposed to do that? I just don't have the time. When you start changing that to, reading the Bible is not a priority to me.
Wait a minute.
That hits different,
yeah,
right?
It does.
There are plenty. I don't have time to eat most days.
Yeah.
And then I go through a Bojangles drive-through and I regret it later. But I knew it was like, it's either I do this or it's just not going to happen, right? Yeah. Or I'm going to be miserable for the rest of the day. And so I do think there has to be a bit of a prioritization of realizing that, man, if I don't prioritize this, what's going to happen to me? We were talking about this before we started recording, actually, with Haley, one of the producers on the show.
She makes it happen.
Yeah. And I was telling her, I was like, it's funny. So many people, we set physical goals.
Yeah.
Either for, this is what I want my body to look like in X amount of time. This is how much money I want to make one day. This is the type of car I want to have. These are the dreams that I have for my children, all these sort of things. But rarely do we say, man, in 2 years, I want to be like a person of integrity.
Yeah.
What do I have to start doing today in order to get to that point? Or I want to be a more generous person, or fill in the blank, right? So I just don't think we think about investing in our character that same way. And so I agree with you. I think to sit down and actually, I think kind of the overarching theme of kind of what you were just talking about a minute ago with culture, and now what we're talking about with spiritual practices is we're not just supposed to coast through anything.
Right.
Like, we have to deeply examine every area of our lives, whether that's culture, whether that's politics, our spiritual development, all these things. Like, you can't just blindly hope for the best.
Yeah.
You know,
or just take some influencer's word for it, or
exactly. There has to be some sort of lens that you look through that says, this is how I determine how I'm going to take the next steps in my life, whether it's who I vote for, how I interact with other people, whatever. And it just so happens that we believe that the best lens to do that through is through the Word of God and through the life of Jesus, you know.
Yeah.
So when I look at life through those lenses, what do I do next?
Yeah. Hey, I want to call back to one thing you just said, that your wife, Morgan, she said, we have to say, hey, that's not a priority to me. Mm-hmm. You asked me earlier something along the lines of what's a key to a healthy relationship. I think in a healthy relationship, you have somebody that's able to say to you, hey, I hear what you're saying, you don't have time, but what it really sounds like you're saying is you don't prioritize it.
Yeah.
Like, we need friends in our life that will talk to us that way.
That's good.
And, you know, so.
That's good.
Yeah.
I mooed at you because I saw where you were going and I didn't like it. So, don't go there.
The holy move.
We're talking about spiritual growth. What are some signs that a person is growing spiritually?
Sign. That wasn't even a moo. What was that? That was like a groan. A sign someone is growing spiritually.
Yeah.
You know what? I think the Bible gives us a clear picture, I think, of the fruit of the Spirit. Mm-hmm. It says, right, in Galatians, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Like, I could say, hey, I think I'm being a good dad because my kids are doing this, they're making straight A's, they're doing this, and work is doing this, and then the church is growing this way, and so I must be doing a good job. That's one way to say. Another thing to do is to put up a grid of saying, okay, love, am I being loving? Mm-hmm. Okay. Joy, am I joyful? I mean, I taught this last week, right? Like, consider it joy when you face trials. Why? Because those trials develop something inside of us that takes us down the road of character and integrity and completeness. So am I exhibiting joy? Love, joy, peace. Peace. Am I showing peace in the midst of a storm? Peace. Patience. Am I being patient? Am I being kind? Am I showing gentleness? Am I showing self-control in the areas of my life that I might be tempted, or I really want to go and do this, but I know that's not the Jesus way? Like, that's a whole different grid. Yeah. And I think oftentimes we just throw up the world's filters of what the world's chasing after. And like, man, I'm going to tell you, I don't want to like over spiritualize this. And I'm not a guy that's like, hey, there's a devil around every corner and he's going to get you. But I think
you almost scared me a little bit.
I'm coming to get you. But I do think that if we did have an enemy, and if he wanted us to be distracted away from the things of God, and he could get us to see things like, well, my bank account's growing, and I'm moving up the corporate ladder, and my kids are doing great in school, or any of those bad things? No, those are great things. But he can get our eye off. What if we put a different target on our wall and said, hey, can I see these things? And then what if we were willing to ask those good friends that you talked about earlier, or our spouse, who can be brutally honest with us, hey, are you seeing more of these things in my life? And that's a question a lot of us are probably scared to ask. So that's one. Yeah, the other two, I would say, like, are you living a life of service? Are you living a life of generosity? I mean, those are things that I think really show if somebody's actually showing growth in their life spiritually.
No, that's good. I like that you went to the fruit of the Spirit. I like to think of it this way. It's a little cheesy, but when you squeeze fruit, what do you get?
Juice.
You get juice.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. All right. I was like, is this a trick question? Coffee. Wait, no. It's, Jesus.
No. Jesus is always the answer. No, when you squeeze fruit, juice comes out.
Right.
And so when you get squozed,
when you get squozed,
when you get squozed, what comes out?
That's good.
And that's a clear barometer of if you're growing spiritually. I mean, your spirit is within you, right? It's the title of the episode. Right. What to do when you get squozed? But man, your spirit is what's on the inside of you.
That's
right?
Exactly right.
And so when the pressure comes out, I asked this question. You want to know what are the signs if you're growing spiritually? How do you react in traffic today versus 6 months ago?
Yeah. Yeah.
When you're put under pressure, what naturally.
Yep.
I want to say
I hope my wife is listening to this episode, because you just asked a great question that I don't need to ask her because you did.
Well,
how's she doing traffic? Just kidding. I'm kidding. You do great. All right. Gonna wrap up.
This is it.
Anything else? You got a last question?
I got one last question for you.
All right.
So we talked about the progression, setting spiritual goals for yourself, having a desire for yourself, the type of person that you want to be somewhere down the road.
Mm-hmm.
It's 2024.
Yep.
In 2029, what do you hope is true of Jason Gore?
5 years from now, what do I hope is true of Jason Gore? I wouldn't have told you this 5 years ago. I sincerely can say, because you asked me about Jason Gore, right? You didn't ask about my family, my kids.
Yeah.
I can sincerely say that I hope in 5 years I'm more loving than I am today. I hope that I have learned how to be more joyful in the midst of struggles. I pray that I can be an anchor for peace for those around me in the midst of whatever trial or storm that we find ourselves in. I hope that I'm more gentle than I am today. I hope that I'm more kind than I am today. Because I've just seen when in the rare events it seems like that I actually do get those right, man, it really is a part of ushering in a different, I would say, kingdom way, Jesus way of life, that our souls are actually meant to live out and experience, and it's the same for other people. And so you want to talk about bringing hope into the lives of other people. Man, live a hope-filled life around other people and watch what it does. And so, man, I would say if I'm going down that journey, I'm in a good spot.
That's good. That's good, and that's admirable. I mean, obviously I asked you very personally, but I think that's good, sound advice for anyone who's listening to this. So thank you for that.
Yeah, for sure.
Good stuff.
Can I add one other thing to it since we're about to sign off on
Why
season
not?
3? I'll just say this because I don't want anybody to hear that. While I think my answer was great for me, I don't want anybody to hear that and think, oh, okay, cool. I don't know much about Jesus. I don't know much about the church. And so I'm just going to go and try to be more loving. I'm going to go and try to be more kind, as if that's going to do it.
Yeah.
Jesus is really clear in the Bible. I'm the way, the truth, and the life. Like the way. No other way. I'm the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes through the Father except through me. The reality is you can try all you want. I can try as hard as I want to. And my heart and my soul is not really going to change. I'm a broken man. We live in a fallen world. And the Bible tells us that we can try as much as we want, but there's no way to actually earn back that right standing before God. And so I would just say, if you're there and you're asking questions and where do I start and what do I do, man, don't start with doing the trying, because you're going to try and you're going to get beat up and you're going to get burnt out, and you're going to try and you're going to get beat up and you're going to be burnt out and you're going to think, man, I can never do this. And the reality is you can't. And what you need to know, and what the Bible tells us, is that we have a God that loves us so much that he allowed his son and sent his son down to this earth to walk on this earth, to actually show us what it really looks like, that it is possible to live that life. But not only that, because we weren't going to get it right, he went to a cross to pay the penalty that we deserve to pay for not getting it right. And then he went into a tomb, and 3 days later, the Bible says he rose from the grave, overcoming sin and death, so that if we believed in that and trusted in that, that we could actually have new life. And it's only through that restored relationship with God that we actually have a shot at this thing. And so for our listeners, thanks for giving me that 30 to 45 seconds. And Aaron, thank you so much.
Man, it was so much fun. Thanks for having me. This was a good time.
Yeah, we should do it again sometimes and talk about episode 11, what happens when you get squoze.
Yeah.
Hope in Real Life, thank you so much for tuning in to season 3. We are excited for what is to come down the road. If this has been beneficial for you, or if you think it would be beneficial for someone else, or if you just think it would be worth listening to for a good time, we would encourage you, like, subscribe, share it with somebody else that you know would benefit from it. We love you guys. We cannot wait to see you next time around. Aaron, thanks again.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Hope in Real Life. Love you guys. See you soon. Let's keep sharing hope. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Hope in Real Life podcast. If this content was valuable for you, don't forget, like, subscribe, share. You never know how important it could be to bring a little hope into someone else's life. There's even a place here for you to comment. We would love to hear from you and hear your feedback. Until next time, let's keep sharing hope.